Welcome to our 5-minute Bible study in the book of Revelation. Today we are still looking at chapter 17 in the book. We've been examining this chapter for the last couple of times together. In this chapter, of course, we see the great woman, the prostitute who rides the beast. We've already identified her as the spirit of Antichrist, Rome, the Roman Empire. But John has more to say in the latter half of the chapter about her. It gets a little complicated, so we're doing some speculating today, but I think we're on the right course. So let me read a few verses, the latter half of chapter 17, and see if we can't get some idea of what John is saying to us. He says in verse 9, "This calls for a mind with wisdom." Boy, that's true. "The 7 heads," you remember the beast on which the woman rides has 7 heads. "The 7 heads are 7 hills on which the woman sits. They are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen, 1 is, the other has not yet come. But when he does come, he must remain for a little while. The beast who once was and now is not is an 8th king. He belongs to the 7 and is going to his destruction." Now, what is all this about? The 7 heads are also 7 hills. We've already seen that a vision can be fluid. That is, the images you see can have layers of meaning and the meanings can change. So the 7 heads are 7 hills. Now, this is pretty easy. Rome in ancient time was known as the city on 7 hills. Everyone would recognize that. So obviously, what we've already said is John clearly sees here that the present manifestation of the woman, the prostitute, and the beast in John's day was Rome, the city on 7 hills. But it's also 7 kings, or 7 rulers. In Rome's case, it would be 7 emperors. It says 5 have fallen. Now, if you start the counting with the Augustus, who was the first Roman emperor, the 5th is Nero. It says 5 have fallen, that is, Nero has already been. Now, we recall that Nero figures into this book of Revelation as the first really spirit of Antichrist in his persecution of the church. You remember when we looked at 666, that number of the beast, we saw there's a very good chance this references Nero Caesar. But after Caesar comes some other emperors, obviously. Becomes a little difficult because it says, one is now, another is to come. We kind of get up to the 8th emperor, which is probably Titus. And then the one who is to come is the present emperor, Domitian. We feel like when the book of Revelation was written, Domitian was the current emperor. And in many ways, he was similar to Nero in that he instituted wide-scale persecution against the church. Nero's persecution has been intense, but Domitian's was more intense because it was empire-wide. Nero's persecution was just in the city of Rome. Domitian was all across the empire. And Domitian was extraordinarily blasphemous. That is, he wanted to be worshipped directly as God himself. So maybe in this interesting sequence of the hills, which are the kings, John is talking about the succession of Roman emperors, which has culminated in his day in Domitian, who really exhibits that spirit of the beast, or of Antichrist, or persecution against the church. But again, keep in mind, Rome was simply the manifestation of the beast in John's day. As we know, this beast, this spirit of Antichrist, arises from time to time throughout the ages. John goes on. He says, "You saw the 10 horns. Those are also the 10 horns of the beast. They are 10 kings who have not yet received a kingdom, but who for 1 hour will receive authority as kings along with the beast. They have but one purpose, and they will give their power and authority to the beast. They will make war against the Lamb, but the Lamb will overcome them, because he is the Lord of lords, and he is the King of kings. And with him will also be his called, his chosen and faithful followers." Now, we're not sure who these 10 kings are, but they seem to be other nations that ally themselves in John's day with Rome. This is all the world kind of following after Rome, worshiping the beast that rules in the city of Rome. And so John is saying that there's something about the power of the spirit of Antichrist when he arises that attracts people to follow him, and they ally with him to make war against the Lamb. Again, we see this over and over again. It's hard to identify exactly who these 10 kings are, and it's probably not terribly important that we do. It's just that we realize that when that beastly figure, that political power arises to oppose the Christ, he always caused people to join him in his rebellion against the Lamb. But the Lamb is always victorious. For the Lamb is the Lord of lords and the King of kings. None can stand against him. And those who are his chosen, his faithful followers, will be safe in him. And then John ends this chapter 17, this image of the woman, by saying one more thing. He says, the beast and the 10 horns you saw, they will hate the prostitute. They will bring her to ruin and leave her naked. They will eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For God has put it into their hearts to accomplish his purpose by agreeing to give the beast their power to rule until God's words are fulfilled. Now what this says that is within the kingdom of the beast, or the kingdom of the Antichrist, there's always violence and warfare, even against themselves. You know, evil always carries within it the seeds of its own self-destruction. There is no unity among thieves, and there is no unity among evil people. They tend to war against each other. And part of the judgment of God upon the beast and his kingdom is that they will, in their violence against the Lamb, they will also turn it upon themselves and ultimately destroy themselves. You see, when you pursue a course of evil, you're always sowing the seeds of your own fall in the midst of it. And that will be the ultimate result of Babylon. She might think she can rebel against God, but she's already sowed her own destruction. And part of the judgment of God on her is that he'll leave her to her own devices, and she will bring about her own destruction. Fallen is Babylon. It is the Lamb of God, who reigns triumphant, and those who are with him. All right, tomorrow, our next time, we'll go on, continue to look at this vision. John has some more to say about the fall of Babylon, and we'll look at that next time. I hope you have a great day today. I hope you know the blessings of the Lord, and I just encourage you to walk with the Lamb of God, for he is victorious, and he keeps his children utterly safe in him. I'll see you next time.